Hello and welcome. I'm Supriya, Shrinate right here on ET Now in what can perhaps be the biggest question on India's democracy in its 70 years of Indian independence. The Aam Admi Party lawmaker Saurabh Bharadwaj earlier in the day today in the Delhi Assembly hacked an electronic voting machine live on the floor of the State Assembly during a special session convened by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. But that's not all. Looks like AAP is in deep mess because today, after all, was supposed to be a testing day for the Delhi Chief Minister with allegations of graft charges levelled against him. Kejriwal, many people thought, is going to come out in the open and break his silence on that bomb, but he hasn't done so. AAP maintains that Kapil Mishra, the sacked minister and of course who's now expelled from the Aam Admi Party, is making wild allegations because he was sacked for poor performance. Poor performance, if I may, is really the big question. Where is all of this leading? What about the EVM hack and all of that and much more? It's a 360-degree perspective that we're going to get to you right here on the show this evening. We've got Aam Admi Party's National Executive Member Preeti Menon. We've got founder and leader of Swaraj India, Yogendra Yadav, joining us just very shortly, also a noted apologist. We're also joined by the spokesperson of the BJP, Shazia Ilmi. We've got Sanjay Jha from the Congress. Thanks each one of you for being with us. But very firstly, I will go across and make you hear V.S. Sampath, India's Chief Election Commissioner, he was the Chief Election Commissioner for 3 long years. And I did question him before I began this show on can an electronic voting machine be hacked? And if at all, what does that mean for Indian democracy? Will this lead to trust erosion in free and fair elections? And what's the way out as far as the election watchdog is concerned? Let's first listen in to Mr. V.S. Sampath.
This is not the first time EVMs have been attacked by political parties. After 2009 elections, there was one round of such allegations about EVMs being hacked. In fact, we had even one session in which we collected EVMs at random from different parts of the country. We threw an open challenge to the people who claimed that EVMs can be hacked. None could do anything in our presence. And it is quite another thing. People, at least know one group of people, they stole one EVM from our custody. They manipulated something on the display and did something, but no one could demonstrate before us in our presence, because one of the important things about EVM is custodial security. First of all, I do not think it is possible to change the motherboard in 90 seconds, etc. Of course, I have not seen anyone doing that. In any case, nobody is going to give them EVMs on a platter to change the motherboard, to bring it back, because even if by any chance, despite all our security, even if the EVM is out of the custody, it will not be possible for it to come back and participate in the election. All these are just, speculation. It cannot happen. I am sure of that. I am sorry to recall again 2009-10 episode. At that time, number of political parties which raised doubts about EVM was even more than this. And Commission had to call an all-party meeting. We called an all-party meeting, they came, but even at that time, none of the political parties said that EVMs were actually manipulated in any election. They were only mentioning about its possibility of being manipulated. Then, to enhance voter confidence and also confidence of the stakeholders, we decided to do the VVPAT. And VVPAT, I can tell you, will conclusively satisfy the voters and all the stakeholders. Once VVPAT is used universally all over the country, EVM controversy will die down totally. There is nothing like voter seeing not only button he has pressed and also seeing that in visual proof, the proof of a paper which will be preserved. In case of doubt, in case of this kind of allegations, they can even be taken out and verified. If necessary, suitable provisions can be made in the rules for such things.
That's V.S. Sampath, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, and he very categorically says that EVMs cannot be tampered with. It has not been done in the past. And he categorically says that the stunt that was pulled, alleged stunt that was pulled in the Delhi Assembly is just that, a stunt perhaps. But let's take this across to the AAP spokesperson, Preeti Menon, who's joining us on the show. And Preeti, not many people say this is a very credible exercise, because the Election Commission has also come out and said that these are EVMs that were not used in the Delhi State Assembly. And if you are indeed going to blame EVMs for being tampered, what about the stunning majority that AAP scored itself in Delhi, 67 seats?
Firstly, I don't recall hearing him say that there was a stunt pulled in the Delhi Assembly. I didn't hear those words out of his mouth at all. Perhaps you may have heard them earlier. There was no stunt pulled in the Assembly. There was a speaker present, fully aware of our constitutional responsibilities and our responsibility towards the democracy of this country. We have demonstrated with a protocol on exactly how EVMs can be hacked. It is quite unequivocally now settled that the EVMs are hackable. The question is whether the Election Commission take any cognizance of this and whether they're going to restore the people's faith in democracy. The retired commissioner mentioned that VVPATs will absolutely resolve this issue. The Election Commission was supposed to get VVPATs introduced by November 2014. We are now in 2017 and they have still failed to do so. Nowhere. It's only India and South Africa and maybe a few other countries. Almost everywhere in the world, it has been an admitted case that EVMs can be tampered, and hence it is better to return to ballot boxes. Why are we stuck on EVMs? Why is it that the whole country is raising doubts? There are people across the country who have raised questions. The BJP themselves wrote the book on it. They absolutely wrote a book. GVLN Narasimha Rao wrote the book. LK Advani gave the foreword. Subramaniam Swamy took it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court admitted that it is possible that there might be tampering and therefore ordered that VVPATs be used. So when it is an admitted case, why is everybody so stuck on using EVMs in their present scenario? And the second thing, we say that the tampering has begun post-Bihar elections. Till Bihar elections, we have not accused anybody of tampering. We say the 2014 mandate towards the BJP was a fair mandate. Their mandate in Haryana and Maharashtra was a fair mandate. But post-Bihar elections, post-losing 2 assembly elections, there has been manipulation in almost every state where elections have been conducted, and we demand that the EVMs be replaced by ballot paper or VVPATs be engaged immediately.
Right. All right, just hold your thoughts there, because I've got Shazia Ilmi from the BJP to respond to that. And Shazia, the word from Preeti Menon is it was all fair and square as far as Bihar was concerned, and after Bihar is when the tampering really began. The other question that she's raising is, world over, EVMs have perhaps been taken out of circulation. Why do they continue to still function in India? And what about the hacking that happened in the Delhi Assembly earlier today?
Okay, so Supriya, you have managed Aam Admi Party to hoodwink you into believing that this is the agenda. But the fact of the matter is that this is something that has been discussed ad nauseum. BJP has given its version. You've heard the Election Commission's version. So while you might be gullible and can bite the bait, I will not do so. I have a very simple question to ask. What about the 2 crores rupees charges, the serious allegations that have been made? What are the Benami and Hawala transactions that have taken place on the watch, and not just a watch, a complicity of Satyendra Jain? When is he resigning? When is Arvind Kejriwal tendering his resignation? Why is a diversionary tool being used, knowing very well that the same EVMs were there? And how come when BJP started winning everywhere and Aam Admi Party started losing everywhere, the credibility of Election Commission and EVM is being raised? I think this is being done to divert the attention, and some media houses might not be smart enough, to figure this out, but we are smarter than that. I think it's because the Election Commission is being targeted at this point of time. The reason is that the 20 MLAs who might face disqualification because of the office of profit matter, already ground is being prepared to discredit the Election Commission. And imagine when you discredit Election Commission, you make a mockery of your own democracy, of your own institutions, and you do it from a democratically elected Vidhan Sabha. So I think it's been a shocker of a day. I can't imagine the audacity of these people, that they're questioning their own credibility. One, because either Arvind Kejriwal should resign himself. 2, what about the 47 councillors that got elected from Delhi? Was the election null and void? 3, when he knew after Punjab the election EVM machines are faulty, according to him, why did he contest the election in the first place for MCD? So either he should resign, either should explain why he agreed to contest, and is he willing to declare the elections, the contest, is he questioning also the veracity of the candidates who won the elections from Aam Admi Party from both Punjab and Delhi? Is he asking for a re-election over there as well?
Right.
So I will not be a fool and bite the bait as easily as you would, Supriya.
No, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either, Shazia, and I take exception to that. I don't bite a bullet easily as well, and not the bait for sure. But Yogendra Yadav, coming on that discussion, and you know, what we saw in the Delhi Assembly is a little disturbing. I'm not going to deny that. But in equal breath, one would say that why did it happen today? This was, perhaps this was a diversionary tool, because Kejriwal is in the thick of allegations. His silence is very, very questionable. He sat through that proceeding. What did you see in Delhi Assembly? Was that perhaps AAP's attempt to show to the world that EVMs indeed can be hacked, and it was hacked? Or was this just perhaps an attempt to take Kejriwal out of the headlines?
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that instead of answering the questions that Aam Admi Party should have answered, they chose to distract the whole thing with this. I really thought that in the last 2 days, some questions have come up. They are not conclusive. I have repeatedly said that we should not presume that Mr. Kejriwal is guilty. He should be given an opportunity to explain, to answer. And I thought assembly session would be a perfect opportunity for a chief minister to clarify where he stands on 2 questions. The 2 crore allegation is not worth responding so far because there is no evidence to go with it. But the allegation about farmhouse deal and the allegation about PWD scam, these are specific things with some prima facie evidence. They should have been answered. So I'm truly disappointed that we did not get answers. The Delhi Assembly met and apparently has got up without answering the one question the whole of Delhi is asking. On the EVM, I'm actually slightly bored and tired of this question being asked again and again. And I was hoping that Aam Admi Party has learnt its lessons. It seemed after the NCD election that after a couple of days they had stepped back, they had realized that they were on the wrong track, and they had changed the track, which I thought was a sensible track. But let me repeat the answer that I must have given 100 times in the last 10-15 years, because once upon a time I used to be an expert on these things, not on the technology part of it, but on the elections part of it. I had said this exactly when Mr. Subramaniam Swamy had raised it. I said it when Mr. Narasimha Rao wrote that book. I said it when Aam Admi Party raised it, when Mamata Banerjee raised it. And the simple answer is this. Yes, in principle, any electronic device in this world can be tempered. So can EVM be. The real issue is there any evidence, any proof, any prima facie evidence to say that it was done in any case, given the crude electronic voting machines that are used in India and not anywhere else? The crudeness of Indian electronic voting machine is actually the saving, the thing that saves it. And what we should be giving, if anyone wants to prove that something wrong happened, they should not get into this theory of whether in principle it can be programmed or not, but whether it was done in the case of Delhi or Punjab. If Aam Admi Party sincerely believes that the people of Delhi in the NCD election had voted for them, and it's the EVM that actually did the trick, then I have a very simple suggestion. Let the Aam Admi Party hold a referendum in the city of Delhi. Let the referendum be supervised not by Election Commission, because they would refuse to supervise a non-constitutional referendum. Let it be supervised by some of the eminent persons in India. Let every step of that referendum be open to anyone in the media. Let the referendum be done through ballot paper, not by any EVM. And let the ballot paper ask a simple question, which we had said in Ramlila Maidan should be asked by governments. The question should be, does Aam Admi Party government in Delhi enjoy the confidence of the people of Delhi? Should it continue to govern? Let that referendum take place. Let Aam Admi Party government say that if we lose this referendum, we will step down.
Fair point.
Let it be done through ballot paper. Let us see the results.
Yes. Yes. Fair point indeed. Just hold your thoughts there because I want the Congress party to come in, and I think Rahul Gandhi after a long time has come out in the open and said truth finds a way to come out. So what is this happening here? You were a part of the 16 parties that went to the Election Commission to say that let's go back to paper ballot and you know these EVMs can be tampered with. Are you willing to throw your weight behind what we saw in the Delhi Assembly earlier today as the spokesperson of the Congress party, Sanjay Jha? And the second question is, don't you, like the rest of my panel, barring of course Preeti Menon, believe that this is perhaps something done to divert the attention from what needed to be done today? Arvind Kejriwal, who is a corruption crusader of sorts in India, should have come out in the open and responded to the allegations that are drowning him. I mean, he didn't choose to do that. He in fact had Mr. Bharadwaj come out in the open and do what he did by the end of it. So my question, I have two questions for the Congress party. Do you throw your weight behind what happened in the Delhi Assembly, and do you also believe this was just a distraction measure?
Supriya, the Congress party's stance has been extremely categorical and clear. Our belief is that if any EVM machine in the country does not give the output based commensurate with what the voters actually wished for and voted for, then it is a serious matter, whether it is the scale of 0.5 in terms of the number of such instances, or whether it is 10 on 10. I mean, you know, I for example, always I'm astonished that pre-election or on the day of the election, you find many people are not in the voters list. I think that is basically makes a mockery of democracy, because, you know, you have a right to your adult franchise and you can't exercise that. That I think is a great fault line in our democracy. By the same token, if tomorrow you and I and the panel members have voted for one party, hypothetically, and the vote goes to another party, I think that is absolute blasphemy. And something has to be done about it, no matter what the scale of the problem. So what I'm trying to tell you is the magnitude of such errors is not the point. Even if 10 votes out of the 100 million votes that are voted are actually going wrong, you need to look into it. You can't take it casually. So our opinion is very clear that end of day, even the Supreme Court had recognized that you do need a voter verifiable paper audit trail. Now, the very fact that that hasn't been implemented is a public admission that the system of EVMs alone, standalone EVMs, is incomplete, and to that extent, it probably is not the most efficient solution. So you can see an intrinsic, shall we say, fault line here, that the Election Commission has to actually accept that until you have a voter verifiable paper audit trail, actually no further election should be held where EVMs are used unless you have a PAT. And there needs to be a paper audit trail as a reconciliation tool. Now, as far as the second point is concerned, I think that's whether, you know, these allegations against Mr. Kejriwal directly, how relevant are they in today's context? I believe the allegations against him are of a serious nature for the simple reason that it has been made by somebody who is a very senior member of his own party. So there is no question of a political conspiracy being hatched here. Secondly, the allegations are fairly grave, because it's not just about giving him cash, it's about him having, you know, benefited certain relatives of his own. Now, these are, you know, very in a public life, I don't think there can be one rule for the BJP or the Congress or Samajwadi Party and a different rule for AAP. And I think, you know, he's a seasoned politician, he's a mature politician, he still has 3 years to go. And Mr. Kejriwal needs to understand that perception in politics is sometimes more important than reality itself. So he needs to get himself investigated through an independent panel.
And who would know
that? If he is not guilty, you know, he walks away scot-free. If he's guilty, then he needs to be facing the consequences.
Sanjay Jha, who would know about tainted perceptions more than the Congress party will woefully. But I'm going to take that discussion back to Preeti Menon, because charges have been raised and arguments have come in, and I think the AAP needs to answer that. And Ms. Menon, you know, whatever happened in Delhi Assembly, just let's put that aside for a minute, but let's ask the question that everybody is willing to, you know, wondering why Kejriwal is not talking. It's been over 48 hours that bomb exploded. It hasn't come from the BJP or the Congress. It has come from somebody who was a close associate of him. The close associate is not just raising allegations. He's now gone to the CBI against Mr. Kejriwal, and yet we do not have any word or clarification coming from the Delhi Chief Minister. Unlike a lot of people in my tribe out there, I'm not willing to still sit on judgment and say he's accused and he's done this, but I do want to hear the Delhi Chief Minister, because he was this whole anti-corruption crusader. What happened to him?
So firstly, about today's session, I know you don't want to discuss this anymore, but that is what the nation is discussing today. It was called for 5 days ago. It's not as if this session was called today in response to Kapil Mishra's allegations and then those were not answered. This session was planned 5 days ago. It was announced earlier, and the focus of the session was primarily to show how EVMs can be tampered with in a very short period of time, and we've successfully demonstrated that. And having raised this doubt, having shown that democracy can be abused and our democratic rights of voting and our constitutional rights can be snatched away, I think the nation needs to focus on this debate on how our democracy can be secured, how we should either return to paper ballot or introduce VVPAT in order to secure our democracy. Now coming to the allegations on the Chief Minister. I noticed that today's session really has upset the BJP. Shazia was almost incoherent right now. She even called you a fool because she was so upset by our demonstration of how EVMs have been hacked. So clearly there's a lot of nervousness in the BJP, and they would like to divert the attention back to Kapil Mishra's
Preeti,
allegations, which are
mouth.
Completely groundless.
Supriya, you know very well that I did not call you a
so I think you should keep quiet.
So stop lying,
I think you should keep
stop
quiet
lying,
while I'm talking, because I didn't disturb you
but,
either.
Yeah, but don't attribute words that I did not use.
You're the one who lies all the time.
Don't attribute words that I did not use.
Can you please ask her to keep quiet, because you were hysterical. You said that you lied about that. You said all those things. There was a lot of hysteria that you brought in, and she even said that she is not. I will not correct myself. Ma'am, you need to correct yourself. But coming to Kapil Mishra's allegations, completely
I'm just going to get in here. I'm going to get in here.
Proof.
Okay, keep lying.
Let me please complete my point. Let me complete my point here, please.
You're a specialist in lying.
I would like to say that if there is a shred of proof, he can go to any agency and register an FIR. The CBI, the ACB have always been doing investigations. The Shazia Ilmi and her party, they control all the investigative agencies of Delhi. They control the Delhi police, they control the ACB, they control the CBI. Having controlling all these agencies, why are they asking us to do an inquiry? They are free to do an inquiry on us. They do it all the time. Even in cases where the Chief Minister is not related, they go and raid the Chief Minister's office. So we are used to being prosecuted by all agencies, and despite their entire persecution, nobody has found a single shred of evidence of wrongdoing in the Aam Admi Party. They just make allegations in the air on primetime television and disappear.
I get that.
If they have serious cases against us, they should arrest us.
Okay, arrest them if there are serious cases against them. Shazia Ilmi, I'm going to take a direct question at you. People who are sympathizers of the Aam Admi Party or political commentators have said, I mean, on this channel or on various other channels, that, you know, all allegations set aside, this does think of a political, vendetta of sorts. How are you going to defend your party's position on this? I mean, it's all right, and I'm sure BJP is happy seeing the Aam Admi Party fall apart and be in a disarray that it is. But this is also a serious allegation. Is there political conspiracy?
Yes, Supriya. Yes, Supriya. Yes, Supriya, I would answer that. First of all, you can play back the tape and to let people know that I asked them very tough questions from Preeti about why is AAP not, disqualifying its own candidates who won if the EVM machines are faulty. It was a very logical question, and I did not sound hysterical at all. I sounded quite smart when I asked the question. Two, Supriya, all respect to you, you know very well that I did not call you any names. So let me prove that once again this lady kind of lied and twisted the truth.
As if you did,
Third,
so carry
and most
on.
importantly, you know, this is all they come up with. When serious charges are made on AAP, this is all they seem to come up with. They say the LG is working against them, the Prime Minister is working against them. They say the EVM machines are working against them. Now they started saying Election Commission is working against them. They even started saying that the judiciary is working against them. They said the police commissioner is working against them. They said the ECB chief, Mina, is working against them. So, and all the bureaucrats, including Shakuntala Gamblin, who Arvind actually campaigned against and went to public with, also that the bureaucracy is working against them. So the fact of the matter is that instead of addressing questions fair and square, and these are serious evidence in the public domain, there is an investigation underway.
If
there is actually evidence of PWD fake bills that were offered. So which is being done. So nobody's interested in arresting you, and you know that let's not have delusions of grandeur.
You've not been able to arrest Arvind Kejriwal, though you've
nobody
been
can play the
last
victim.
3
Let
years.
me finish, Preeti. I'm answering a question. Okay, you can say more, ma'am. You specialize in lying, so I can't beat you there. Neither am I interested. So we can speak on fact. So every time factual allegations are made, like on funding. Now you see on funding, what they reported to Election Commission is very different from what they deposited in the bank and what they showed on the website. These are glaring fakes. These are glaring
funding
facts
coming from a party that took foreign donations
by
and then
a TV
passed a
channel.
backdated
I'm
note.
going to get in Yogendra Yadav into this discussion. Shazia Ilmi and Preeti Menon, as a moderator, I'm going to get Yogendra Yadav into this discussion. And Yogendra Yadav, okay, I'm given to understand Mr. Kejriwal is talking and making a point out there. Let's actually just go across, listen to him and then come back and do this debate.
उन्होंने दिखाया कि कितना आसान है छेड़छाड़ करना और बहुत बड़े स्तर के ऊपर छेड़छाड़ की जा रही है। ये देश के लिए बहुत बड़ा खतरा है, जनतंत्र के लिए बहुत बड़ा खतरा है और देश के हर नागरिक को इसके खिलाफ आवाज उठानी
चुनाव आयोग ने खारिज कर दिया है। चुनाव आयोग ने खारिज कर दिया है। कहते हुए कि वो ईवीएम नहीं है जिससे चुनाव होता है।
हम तो कह रहे हैं आप अपनी ईवीएम दे दीजिए, उसका मदरबोर्ड चेंज करना है, 90 सेकंड लगते हैं। वो अपनी ईवीएम देंगे, उसका मदरबोर्ड चेंज करके दिखा देंगे। वो अपनी ईवीएम दे दीजिए।
Okay, let's just please come out of this. And I want to take this across to Yogendra Yadav because Arvind Kejriwal on a day like today comes out. It's been over 48 hours that that bomb was exploded by a member of his own party. He talks about what was done on the floor of the House, but he does not talk about the allegation that was raised against him. And in fact, when people began to ask him, he turned his back and walked away. The corruption crusader that Arvind Kejriwal was, or the kind of mandate that he got on the back of which, do you believe you're let down today by what is happening? Why is he not willing to talk, given the allegations are not frivolous, like you yourself said?
I feel let down, I feel disappointed, but I would not still conclude, I would not still presume that he has done monetary corruption of the kind that he is accused of. I really was hoping that he would use the assembly session today to break his silence. I was hoping that he would offer some documentary proof to say, look, all these things are not correct. And as I had said on the very day when Kapil Mishra made these allegations, I had said that if someone says Arvind Kejriwal is political opportunist, that he is arrogant, that he has done things which are politically unethical, I would believe it. But if someone says he has received money, he's taken bribe, then I would say, wait a minute, give me some evidence. Mr. Kapil Mishra did not provide any evidence on day one. He says it's sealed in a cover. So the best thing is to wait for the cover to open. Why waste our time talking about something where we have no evidence? Yesterday, two concrete things have come up. These are specific. There is some prima facie evidence attached to that, and both of these point to Mr. Kejriwal's family. Now, this is serious. I would have really expected him to do so, and I imagine if something like this were to come up against a Congress leader or a BJP leader, in the older days, we would have held a press conference, we would have said, इंक्वायरी होनी चाहिए, जांच होनी चाहिए, जांच क्यों नहीं करवाते? This used to be something we always said, which was a very fair thing. And I don't see why that fairness should not apply to Mr. Kejriwal. In that sense, this is disappointing that he has not spoken. As I said today, even today, I would not presume that he is guilty. But if he, for another say 12 hours, 24 hours, he doesn't open his mouth, then one has to begin to presume that there is something strange, that he is not speaking about these things. On the VVPT, I just wanted to say that much of our discussion is pointless because the Supreme Court agrees with VVPT, the government agrees with it, political parties agree with it. So let's move forward to that. Why talk about ballot papers and so on, which are so regressive? And to Mr. Jha, I would just remind, if there is one government responsible for non-introduction of VVPT, unfortunately it was Congress government which was responsible for that, and he should acknowledge it in all honesty.
Precisely. Precisely. I'll let him take that question from you because I'm completely running out of time here. And Sanjay Jha, very concisely, I want to ask you the same question that Yogendra Yadav is asking. Why did your government not do it in the first place? And B, are you sensing an opportunity here? Kejriwal in the dock, you've conceded the opposition, space to him in any case. And so this is your time to get back, to grab that space that you've conceded to Kejriwal. Is my reading correct of the situation right now? Sanjay Jha.
Supriya, let me tell you this, that as far as Mr. Kejriwal's predicament at the moment, or AAP's disintegration, whatever is happening today, the Congress party is not sitting at the sidelines gloating at it, because we realize they have an internal crisis. But in politics, you know, first our priority is to get our own house in order and be more energized to win the elections in Delhi. So we are focused on our internal challenges and not really, you know, exercising schadenfreude and gloating as the BJP seems to be doing at AAP's discomfiture. As far as Mr. Yogendra Yadav's statement is concerned, let me tell you that end of day from 2014 onwards, that's almost 3 years ago, you have had Mr. Modi's government. And the Supreme Court has made its verdict saying that you must mandatorily have the paper audit trail since then. Now, the budgets for the same, I mean, that is the responsibility of the central government had to approve it. 3 years is a long time for Mr. Modi's government to have delayed approving a budget until there was a lot of brouhaha, and now I believe it has been approved. So hopefully down the line there will be a VVPAT with the EVMs. But I'll keep saying it, that, you know, if there are doubts in people's minds, and you know, Mayawati ji is a very senior leader of Uttar Pradesh, and you will remember a lot of people. But, you know, just a minute, Yogendra ji, you know, if you remember after the Uttar Pradesh election results, you know, she went public, she said she had doubts on the EVM, she mentioned certain voting constituencies where, you know, the votes looked extremely skewed. So there is evidence, and Mr. Yadav keeps saying, where is the evidence? Actually, a lot of evidence-based disclosures have been made to the Election Commission. Actually, Supriya, when a lot of the political parties have met the Election Commission, they have not gone there with some kind of a nebulous, fuzzy idea. They have gone with evidence. Therefore, the Election Commission today should not appear to become, you know, a pro-government spokesperson, but actually understand the 16 parties are not, you know, born yesterday who are just complaining for the sake of it. I mean, there is a legitimate apprehension, and if 16 political parties feel that way, surely it can't be politics.
Indeed, it can't be politics, and we do hope electioneering is going to be kept out of politics and the political prism with which we see things. It has to be a free and fair election. It's an adult franchise that I believe in, and I'm sure the rest of our viewers do also. But Yogendra Yadav, Shazia Ilmi, Preeti Menon and Sanjay Jha, we really appreciate you taking time out and talking on this very, very important subject. Thanks, viewers, for tuning in. There's plenty of news, analysis and views that continues on ET Now. Keep it with the channel that matters.